Alright, we are recording. My other camera that I usually use is needing to be charged. So here we are, using a backup camera. For kind of a backup video, if I'm completely honest, this is something that I don't normally do, but I bought a new camera. I actually bought two new cameras. I bought two new film cameras, I should say. And not new to me necessarily, like these are legitimately new. We are going to unbox new film cameras. This is it. This is what the film camera industry is now. It is these two cameras. Now there are different iterations of this camera, as I imagine there will also be different iterations of this camera in the future. But for now, this is what you have. These are the only, as far as I know, film cameras, 35mm film cameras that you can buy right now online. 2020, when the F6, Nikon's film camera, was discontinued, because that was awesome. So this is what we got left. Now I spent about around $100 for both of these combined. So I think it was like 40, 50, something like that. Or no, I think this was like 35 because it's been out for a little bit longer. I think this was 40 something. So around $70 for both combined, which in terms of a camera isn't that bad. Now this we'll talk about first because this came out first, and it's kind of the most affordable. There's really not much to talk about. It is just a point and shoot camera, but I do want to do a quick unboxing of it. So, ooh, yeah, look at that. Thank you so much for your order. We're in bankruptcy again, and we really need your help, because we don't know how to finance things properly. Download our user manual because we can't afford to print it out on real paper. I will never forgive Kodak for teasing that Super 8 camera that they teased and then never releasing it and never doing any follow-up. That to this day is one of their biggest failings as a company, amongst many other failings, but for me personally, that pisses me off to no end. That was one of the coolest looking cameras ever, and the fact that they just kind of gave up on it completely, unforgivable. And instead we get this, which just feels like nothing. This feels like half of a pound. I'm not even I'm not trying to jazz this up and try and make it funny. Looks like it takes a AAA battery. It's very small. There's a flash, no flash there. Wow, let's open it up. Okay, very, very, very simple design. Pop that up, put the film in there. And it is a disposable camera that you can reuse. That's it. Next up, we have the H35. Now this is interesting because this is, of course, you can see a half frame camera, which I don't think is in direct relation to the kind of current film shortage that people seem to be going through. But I do think it's kind of interesting. I think this was in development beforehand. Right off the bat, the packaging of this is much nicer, I will say. I think it feels a little bit better produced, more well thought. And look, you got like a nice little display of everything, as opposed to this where it's just like, here's the camera and the strap, if you want to call it a strap. I don't know how I feel about that though. Like a greasy imprint of where the lens was. But so here we go. Let's go through. We got a nice little egg bag here. This feels like garbage. It feels really rough. Like, feels kind of like really fine-grained sandpaper, to be honest. Then we got a strap, I think. Oh, I gotta hate this. Okay, so got those items, and now la pièce de la résistance. Oh yes, and of course the tutorial video quick start guide. I'm gonna make my own tutorial video, so don't click on this one. Just kidding. This feels also terrible. It's heavier than this, definitely. There's a lot less rattling going on inside, which is immediately better in my mind. But let's break into this because I hate this. Like legit, I saw this and I was a little bit pissed. Not like, oh, this isn't what I bought, because I know what I bought. Okay, I'm not gonna try and be that guy that's like, oh, I wanted something different. This is exactly what I was expecting. It's kind of cheaply made. The overall design of it is intended to evoke some sort of nostalgic look at past cameras. Like, oh look, it's got this nice two-tone style to it. The silver and black melts with this like nice brown front. This is supposed to look like leather, obviously, and it's not. It's just plastic. I get it. Like, I totally get it. I think it's great for like a nice compact camera. It's good half frame stuff. But this is also, it's this. It's literally this and this are the same. This just shoots half frame and is marginally smaller. Oh, interesting. This feels much smaller than this. This, I think, utilizes its size better than this does. I like the orientation of the lens here as opposed to this. This feels like it's cockeyed a little bit. And I think the flash control being here is a little bit cooler. I like that design. However, it's focus free. It appears as though it's the same kind of, you have no real control over the exposures, which is interesting. I like the orientation of this here. Kind of means that you just rest your thumb there to shoot, which is interesting, as opposed to this where you're supposed to kind of do something like that. So the ergonomics are kind of different in accordance to that. You can use this finger for that. I find that to be interesting. Again, just going through like the general ergonomic design of this system. It also takes a AAA battery, which plops right down in there. You've got the sprocket release for rewind. And there, of course, is the half frame there. So, oh God, oh no. That does not feel good. That feels terrible, actually. I feel like it wouldn't be too difficult to just yoink this out completely. So, okay. I bought these cameras, right? I do have another video planned for each of these, and then I've got a few different designs in mind for what I would like to do. But because this is kind of topical at the moment, I've seen a few people make videos about it. I thought, jump into that, give my interpretation, because I don't think, like, there's a lot of film photography channels out there, and a lot of them are really good. They review different film, they review different trips, they show their photos and stuff like that. It's all very cool, well and good. Mine is more like technology behind certain systems and stuff like that, so I wanted to give it a little bit more of an analytical breakdown of the system itself and talk about it from that perspective in terms of how it stacks up against other systems. Given that these are the only, as far as I know, 35mm cameras that you can buy online, they're like relatively mass produced. What are my interpretations of it? It's kind of depressing, to be honest. Like, I think that film photography right now is going through a bit of a resurgence. It's like very popular, so a lot of people are picking it back up, which is awesome because there's more of a market for my services. There's more of a market for film companies to do stuff like this. Like, there's just more of a market, which is great. However, I think that we are just abundantly blessed with the fact that a lot of these systems from 40 years ago are still relatively functional. Because if it was up to these systems to kind of carry the weight of people's film photography passions, I think that these would falter 9 times out of 10. What I feel like these are kind of designed for is for gifts, which is awesome. I think it's designed for people to kind of like dip their toes into photography, which is awesome. But I don't see these as being good vessels for continual use. Maybe something like this, Even then though, I feel like this is pretty gimmicky because it's a half frame, which is cool. I like half frame. I've got a Canon Demi. I have an Olympus somewhere, I think. Having double film on one roll is awesome. However, I think that if I was to drop this from any significant height, it would snap in half and I'd have to buy a new one because there's no way to fix this. Same thing with this, which is fine. It's not worth fixing. It's kind of disposable in that regard, but it is just plastic. And anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of going on a little bit of a tangent just because I guess what I would say is if you're going to buy something like this, which I'm not telling you not to, if you feel so inclined to buy one of these two cameras just to try it out, to make a video about it, or to give to somebody, by all means. Like, I don't want to be the one to tell you not to, because, like, I obviously did, so do as I say, not as I do, I suppose. But I think that having the reality of the situation in mind, if this is not going to be anything more than just, I mean, rattly plastic and just very poorly fitted parts, I don't think that anything more than that can be expected from these systems, which is fine. The thing I do find the most interesting though is it doesn't say like use Kodak film only in here, because a lot of like the older like Kodak point and shoots, or a lot of the older like kind of film company branded point and shoots would have little stickers in there that would be like, oh, for best use our film, or use this particular type of film, or something like that. Yeah, I find it very interesting that that's not in here, or in either of these. I was totally expecting to open these up and just see like a bunch of Kodak billboards, so the fact that that's not there is interesting. Overall though, I don't really like these cameras too much. I do want to shoot with them so I can get like a better idea of kind of like the usability of them. I guess if I'm going to really nitpick the designs, I do kind of dig the yellow of this. I think it plays up the kind of plasticky toy look of it quite a bit. I like that they didn't put like a fake weight in here to make it feel more real. I don't really like the design choice here. I feel like this front just seems kind of crowded, I guess. And I just always prefer, if you do this, for there to be a cover to go over there, but that's another moving part, so I guess I'm glad that they didn't mess around with that. Kept this as light and cheap as possible. In terms of this, I just don't like things pretending to be something that they aren't. I do like this switch there. Again, I think this is like a little bit crowded, and there's like nothing up on the top here. It just seems kind of weird. I kind of wish the shutter button was a different color. But again, this is just me nitpicking now. The viewfinder of this is interesting. It looks like just a normal 35mm viewfinder with like some padding in the sides to kind of give you a better frame for it. I would not really recommend you buy them unless this is something that you're expressly looking for. I don't think that this is like, I think this is like a kind of shoot a few rolls through, not a daily driver sort of system. But I mean, you can make do with anything, so don't let me limit you. But I just think the reality is there are better cameras out there that kind of perform these same things, so maybe keep that in mind as you're looking. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got some more stuff coming out, so stay tuned for that, and do a little bit more of a highlight focus on these. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one.